Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I am also Ryan.
This week we're covering Playdate news.
Recent indie releases.
And rejoicing in one another's presence. Oh boy, howdy guys. It's been a while. And what better episode to do it than episode number 70. Look at us. 70 episodes in.
Thank you for listening. Let's get started. So happy to have us all together again.
Samesies.
A rare
Yes.
occasion.
It's
Boy,
been a
howdy.
while.
It does feel that way.
It's been
Yeah.
a while, yeah. Did new listeners, did you know that there's three hosts of this podcast?
If you've tuned in the past several months, they might not know. Yes, indeed, and welcome indeed. And let's welcome new listeners with a respectful boop 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 news and notes, welcoming them into our first segment of the episode where we talk about, well, today we're talking about merch extravaganza, echo effect. There's a lot of merch happening in Playdate land these days, and we're starting with Root Bear and Mars After Midnight merch that's available on cottonbureau.com. You got a Root Bear shirt, you got a Mars After Midnight shirt, you got a Mars After Midnight hat, and you got a Playdate shirt. All that's available on the URL we'll have on the show notes today. Dawn, are you interested in pricing on these things?
I'm a little interested. I think the listeners will be a little interested too. But we should mention that this is a pre-order for a couple of these, so I don't know how relevant it'll be down the road.
Okay. Well, that'll encourage people to tune in when we record, because at this point they
Mhm.
are still available for 5 days, at least for some of those that you mentioned. So pricing, Root Bear shirt, $37. Got 5 days left of that pre-order, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Last time to buy this
I
is
think so.
1125, 1125, 2004. Also, we have a Playdate shirt. It's yellow like the Playdate. It has the Playdate logo, little registered trademark there for those interested. And that one's $33, also available to buy until 11/25, 2024. Getting into the Mars After Midnight merch, you can buy that for $32. That does not say a pre-order, so I think that's just
It says
available.
on demand.
Oh, well, that would make sense. Okay. And then there's a Mars After Midnight hat for $35. So if you want any of that, you can go get it. And if you thought the merch was done there, boy, howdy, were you wrong? We've got more merch coming at you. This time from Playdate Central, play.date/shop. They've got a hat. The hat has the Playdate logo on it. It is a loading hat. It is black with a yellow embroidered logo on it that has a little twisty filter put on the Playdate logo. It's called the Twist Hat because the logo is twisted, not because the hat is funky and twisty. Looks like a regular old dad hat to me. And then, in addition to that, there is the tote bag. Tote bag is yellow, just like our favorite handheld device here. Got a little patch on the outside letting you know, Playdate or Rooney. And did you guys notice these tri-placed grommets they have in there to sort of reference the voltage of the Playdate? That's cute. You guys see that?
Oh, I didn't put that together. I thought it was
That
you
is cute.
bolt it to
Yeah,
your lock it down to your roof rack or something. I didn't understand what
there you
those were
go.
for.
Like that. Nothing if not utilitarian. Speaking of which, they also have an inside pocket to hold ye old Playdate in addition to whatever junk you want to put in there, like, oh, laptops and pillows with Untitled Goose Game logos on them and children and whatever you want to fit inside a tote bag. But they have a special pocket for your Playdate. Very nice. Any thoughts on Playdate merch? That's a lot of merch coming at us this fortnight.
Taking advantage of the holidays.
Indeed.
Stocking stuffers. Yeah, we've been begging for a Playdate shirt for quite a while. So very cool that they're rolling stuff out.
Right on. All right, we've got some more Playdate news. In fact, we have a bunch of Playdate news. The next one is the fact that the official Playdate podcast, that is not this one you're listening to. That's the one with Krista Mergen from Panic. And that podcast released a new episode. This is the one about the true crime saga of those 2,000 playdates that went missing in northern Las Vegas. Did you guys have a chance to listen to this?
Yeah. It was very interesting.
I thought so too. Don,
It
did you hear
was,
this too?
yeah, it was fascinating. I was shocked at I thought law enforcement, the FBI, I thought it would be, I guess I don't know. Should we tip
Yeah,
their
I was
hands? Should we
curious
spoil it, I
how
guess?
spoilery we want to get with
Yeah,
this because
it's like
it's a
half $1 million
pretty
in merch. And the
it's
cops were just like, yeah, whatever. Anyway,
yeah, I was really interested in the stats that they put out about like how many playdates actually went missing. It was, neighborhood of 2,000, not exactly, and also talked about the hiring of private investigators and gosh, how do we want to get? There's a lot of fun information in here about what happened, what went down,
yeah,
were they
listen either
recovered?
way. I
Yeah,
mean, we're giving highlights, but I would say it's worth listening either way because how it falls into place and the just the number of people they got involved in the
totally.
episode is fun to listen to.
And there were flights to Las Vegas to investigate this. It
Yes.
wasn't just like done from afar
Yeah.
in the ivory towers of the panic offices in Portland, Oregon. It was really a well put together episode. Krista Mergen, lots of snaps for you on this episode. I'm sure that was a mountain of work to put together. So fantastic job.
Well,
And
did you all hear that famous quote from Cable that essentially said that insurance is worthless?
I did notice that. Yeah, it
That
stung a little
happened
bit.
right at the end. I was like,
uh,
huh, that's interesting. So it made me wonder if they actually had filed an insurance claim. Sound like they did not. However, if they were
Mm-mm.
communicating with FedEx, I would assume it would be for the purposes of filing a claim. Um, so I'm just really curious from an insurance standpoint where exactly that would end up. Would it be on the carrier, which would be probably where it would end up, right? Because they delivered
Yeah.
something, you know? Or would it be on the factory, or would it be on the third party warehousing and logistics company that actually does the distribution?
I
I would guess
guess
Or
the
the
would it be
shipper.
gotcha.
a split of all three? So, anyway, those are the kinds of questions which won't be answered by that podcast.
This is a Cracker Barrel. I'm looking at the pictures.
No, it was not a Cracker Barrel. They said in the podcast it was not, that they wished that it was.
Oh, okay. I
But
was like, this is a fancy Cracker Barrel.
one thing's for sure, they are salty at the Las Vegas Police Department.
Well,
Uh,
Well,
first there was shade being thrown at FedEx, and then the LVPD got it, and oh boy, look out. There's some feelings being felt,
the way
which
they get them
yeah,
back is just like unbelievable. Unbelievably
which,
easy too. So anyway, well worth a look. If you're listening to a Playdate
yeah,
podcast, you got to listen to that Playdate podcast because it's a lot of fun. And it
cool.
worked out pretty well. I sort of
All
lost track of
things
how
considered.
many actually went missing, but it sounded like very low numbers.
Correct.
mhm.
Spoiler alert in hindsight. Anyway, um, a thought was in my mind and it disappeared. That's what happens to me. Um,
Yeah. Sorry to derail you, but check it out. There'll be a link in the show notes.
And read your insurance policy.
All right. Thank you for the moral, Nick, and helping us move on to the next news and note, which is the fact that Playdates are still officially on back order, but the store page has been updated. I mentioned this last time that it's the December availability, December 2024. And they mentioned this not only in the Halloween 2024 update we mentioned last time, but also reiterated in this official Playdate podcast that we just mentioned that was released today. So if you're waiting for a play date, it sounds pretty for sure that they're going to be releasing them next month. So hang on.
Very cool. Oh, sorry. We're up next, Nick. We neglected to mention that there was a Playdate Community Direct for fall 2024, and it was jam-packed. It was almost an hour long. and we went over the summer direct a few months back, but we didn't really go over the fall direct. And so, whoops, I clicked on the wrong link. But the nice thing with the community directs is they also have this very exhaustive wiki link, or excuse me, like series of wiki links with the community directs. So every game, as well as like the devlogs, the YouTube links, game websites, the Twitters, if there's a Twitter thing attached to it, the itch pages, if there's already an itch page set up or if the game has already been released, everything is set up. So if you missed it and you just want like to jump in there and see what games are already out, then you can hop on the wiki and get in there. So some of the highlights I wanted to mention are a game called Trackmania, and the show started with this. Are you guys Trackmania fans?
I'm aware of it, but I don't know if I've ever played it.
Yeah, I'm completely out of the loop. Tell me about it, Don.
Well, Nick is well aware of my arcade racing fandom, but it's Trackmania is a game with on the PC you could have basically like hundreds of ghost cars on these really elaborate tracks. Um, racing against yourself, trying to get better and better times and doing all these crazy stunts. But this is like a miniature version, and they're trying to distill as much of the fun of those games into the Playdate. And so I was shocked to see something that ambitious on the Playdate. But I guess we say
Mhm.
that almost every episode where we're like, I can't believe they're doing this on the Playdate. But here's yet another example of I can't believe they're doing this on the Playdate. But Trackmania was certainly a big way to make a splash with the community direct. And then a lot of games like Birds and Pup Cup and Crank Casino, we've mentioned on the show before, but there's a lot of surprises in here, and so we got a lot of show to get to, and we're actually recording late. But I want you to take some time and throw on the episode in the background. It's on YouTube. It's hosted. There's a lot to dig into here. And it's even got musical interludes by Narthex, as the last one did. So if you want to see some live performances and whatnot, yeah, check it out. Nick, what did you think? Am I missing anything?
Yeah, just the production values are a market increase from even the last community direct. Um, I thought it was fantastic and very well put together. Lots of games, a lot of things that I wasn't aware of, that are coming, and some interesting stuff. So check it out.
I think I count 22 games in this list here that they showed.
Goodness, that's a good
Yeah,
direct.
Yeah.
it's massive. So yeah, check it out. Link in the show notes.
Awesome. We will be checking that out. And while we are checking that out, I'll tell you about the Uncranked physical subscription bundle and how unbelievable it is. All right, you all know about Uncranked magazine, and I've shamed my beloved co-host into purchasing a physical subscription of these magazines, which I think they have done. And if they've not, they should, because I just received my first magazine from the subscription, and it wasn't just a magazine, it came in a whole gosh darn big old box. And I'm thinking, what in the world is this? This is from Uncranked, but I just got a magazine, and it's chock full. I'm not even sure I should say everything that's in it. Um, but I'll say a couple things. One of the highlights was a Playdate uncranked blanket, like a whole blanket that is, fuzzy and soft and keeps you warm. Perfect for these winter months, at least for me up here in Michigan, where it gets quite chilly. So I'm going to be using that blanket. Thank you so much, Zanya, for tossing that in there, along with like the kitchen sink and everything in your house. We got stickers, we got additional zines, we got there's subscriber only issues of Uncranked, so you get even more um you words with us in this particular one. There was some extra interview outtakes that didn't make it into the Uncranked issue number 4, where we were their cover story. Thank you very much. That was very kind of you. but even more stuff beyond us as well. It was just really mind blowing to receive this package. So I wanted to give a big shout out to Zanya, who puts all this together, edits Uncranked magazine, and just like under promises and way over delivers everything that I've ever got from her. So, Zanya, thank you very much. I don't know how you're doing it. And by golly, if you, dear listener, have not subscribed to Uncranked magazine yet, I would give it a very high recommendation if it was not clear. So, guys, have my bullying, I mean, encouraging to purchase an Uncranked subscription worked for you yet?
Yeah, I've got the digital subscription. I got a digital blanket. It warms my heart every night. Um, yeah, no, I have the digital one, but I did make a purchase, a physical purchase from Uncranked actually. I bought the advent calendar.
Ah, fantastic. Very good.
So looking forward to that.
Cool. Now, do you mean the calendar? Is that
A
what you mean?
advent calendar. There's an
A
advent
physical
calendar.
advent calendar?
That's my understanding. I bought an advent calendar, a physical advent calendar.
Oh gosh, I did not hear about that. Do you have a link to that by any
It's in
chance?
the show notes. It's coming up in a second, but I felt like this was a good place to mention it as well.
Okay. Well, great. Um, 2024 physical advent calendar. You got to be joking me. Crank into the holiday season with a 25 game day game sale in December. How is this physical if it's game sales?
It says get access to the games on sale along with cool merch from the game developers.
Wow. So neat.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, please report back, Don. That's exciting. I didn't know about that. Thank you for helping us to that.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, in addition to that, Zanya's not slowing down. You know how she do. She's got another Playdate bundle assembled with a bunch of great games. This one's called the Hello Autumn Playdate bundle. And for only $9.99, under $10, you get what is this? Five different games: Reflections Nightingale, Crank Casino, Bullet Shoe Chronicles, Shell Slinger, Beta, and Off Planet Dreams. We mentioned this last time, but I mention it again because it's only around for a couple more days at this point. We've got November 22nd, 2024, expiration date for this Playdate bundle. So get on it. For under $10, you get a boatload of games and a lot of enjoyment. So, Zanya, thank you for being ever the organizer and making all this stuff happen. And in addition to that, we have the Uncranked Solstice Showcase happening in December. That's December 21st. And that means if you have a holiday greeting or a shout out, as the kids say, or any Playdate related news or New Year's resolutions or a game trailer, a teaser, or art or music, you can use a form that is in our show notes for today's episode to do any of those things and publicly acknowledge or promote or what have you, you know, Playdate folks or Playdate things. That's a neat thought to do. Nice shout outs and mentions. Have you guys called up and shouted at anyone that will be mentioned on December 21st?
No shouting yet.
Hmm. All right.
I
Work
feel like we should.
work on your bellows. Until then, I'll tell you about the 2025 calendars, the not the Advent calendars, but bona fide calendars for next year. Um, these are from Uncranked as well. You can get a wall calendar for $12.99 or an easel calendar for $16.99, and a portion of the sales will be donated to the SPCA. So, once again, notes in the our links in the show notes for today's episode. Pardon moi, I'm getting over a little cold here. And any thoughts on the calendars?
Order one of those too.
Hey, look at you, all sorts of physical
My
stuff.
kids, my kids love the current year's calendar.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah.
Cool. And speaking of Zanya not stopping, you, dear listener, once again, can nominate a Playdate musician or a visual artist from the community for the Playdate Visual Art and Music Showcase That's going to happen in February. That's February 2025. So Zanya goes on to say that as a community, we enjoy looking at the artistic feats and listening to the toe-tapping music in our favorite games. The PDVMAs, I'm assuming that means the Playdate Video Music Awards, will honor these members with a physical award. A physical award? Gracious. Details will be announced in the next few weeks. The last day to nominate someone is December 15th. Lots of things coming up here. So here is the Google Doc. Locate that in the show notes for today's episode, dear listener, and you can nominate your favorite artist or musician. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? More shouts to give?
I mean, positivity is always a good thing. Keep it coming. Um, yeah, I love to see who's nominated, who is awarded. I'm not gonna not know where to start on great artists. I'm always excited to see new art coming out on these games. I wouldn't know where to begin. So yeah, get in there, get nominations coming, and yeah, look forward to seeing the results.
Looking forward to it. Nick, I think you've got something for us.
So there was a recent firmware update to the Playdate, and it corrected issues with certain games. And I just happened to poke my head into the squad Discord and saw that apparently Demon Quest, #1 title of season 1 for some of us, was broken. And that broke my heart. But then I saw that the most recent firmware update corrected that. So we were all chatting a little bit before recording, and it sounds as though that is also something that fixed. What's the name of that game, Don?
Mystery Scrolls.
Mystery Scrolls. So looking forward to playing that.
Cool. Nice. Thank you for that update, Nick. I was unawares until you mentioned it. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. We are winding down the hoopity boop news and notes, but I wanted to sort of bury this one a little bit, but it is important to our show. But we like to lead with the positivity here, but there is a thing that happened. My Playdate is broken. I cannot play my Playdate currently. The A button, which is a very important button on the Playdate, come to find out, became non-functional. And I attempted a little troubleshooting. Nick was in my physical presence. It was lovely, just about a week or so ago. And Nick helped me to diagnose what was going on with this, and we found out that the A button was pressing into the traces on the motherboard of the PCB of the Playdate and had scratched away the traces, so that it was no longer making a connection, and my A button was not working. So it wasn't just a mechanical breakage of the button. It was like scraping away of the traces. Nick, am I saying these technical things correctly?
Very impressed, Ryan.
I did it?
You did it.
I can't even believe it. So anyway, all that to say, in silver linings, I've got a new Playdate on the way. So in theory, I should be able to play Playdate games pretty darn soon. But with that said, if I'm a little quiet on the thoughts and notes about games in particular for the next episode or so, you'll know why that is. I'll keep you updated on the status of my incoming Playdate and hope for the best moving forward. So just wanted to get that out there. Guys, thoughts about Playdate breaking? I don't know.
Got in touch with the landscaper in Vegas and he hooked you up.
Hey, you got any of those back of truck Playdates anymore?
I mean,
Heard,
you
heard he
played the
was
hell out of
tossing
it.
those out to just anybody. Oh my God. You got to listen to that episode. That was fantastic. Anyway,
You played the hell out of it for almost 3 years. It's
I
gonna.
mean,
It did its duty.
it went through the ringer.
Yeah.
I cranked that thing. I'm surprised the crank lasted as long as it did,
I was
honestly.
very impressed taking it apart.
With
It's
as
like,
much
whoa.
as I wiped out in the white water and as much squids as I was cranking. And
Mhm.
anyway, it was a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to a new one.
I'm glad you got it worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Don,
Okay.
tell us about Destination Playdate. What's the destination update?
Yeah, Destination Playdate, one of our favorite YouTube channels, did 3 videos to make up for the one video we caught last time. So he's got 3 videos up this week. He's got a video for Echo the Oracle Scroll. Ryan, you need to play this when you have a play date before the end of the year. This will be on your top 10, I think.
Which
There's
one?
no combat. Echo the Oracle Scroll.
Oh, goodness. All right.
It's not quite Celeste or anything, but
Hmm.
it's like a side-scrolling adventure. But think of Metroid like, Ryan. Anyway, I think Nick would like this as well. But
You've got me hooked. You've
this
got me hooked.
especially spoke to me. Um,
Huh.
Looked up your alley, and everybody was raving about how great it was. This doesn't look necessarily like a Dawn game, but when it did very much look like a Ryan and a Nick game.
Hmm.
Next up, Direct Drive, a game we talked about many episodes ago. He finally got to covering that one, and Mystery Scrolls, which we just spoke about. Um, he does a very short review of Mystery Scrolls, so check
Cool.
those out.
Nice little video reviews there. Excellent. Thank you, Sir Destination, for putting those together. And I think that's going to lead us into our respectful boop indie inventory for today. Don, what have you assembled for us?
I was going to ask Nick if he wanted to run through these. Nick, are you interested?
Don, I would love it. Let's see. The first game is called River Run, and it is by uh,
E.T.
Eric
Scrivener?
Eric Scrivener.
Okay.
Yeah, and this game is $2, uh, and it is essentially a vertical scrolling shooter.
That sounds
River
right up your
Raid.
alley, Nick.
It's River Raid. This looks a little more complicated than River Raid, but River Raid
Hmm.
has similar fuel mechanics and so forth too.
Aren't you big
Anyway,
on these vertical scrolling shooters?
I'm a big fan of vertical scrolling shooters and horizontal space shooters too.
Hmm.
So
I played a
very
little bit of
exciting.
this. It's tough. I love
Is
River
it?
Raid, so I hopped right on this, and it is tough.
Hmm.
It's hard to know how to speed and slow yourself down. Maybe I need to rely on the crank a little bit more or something. I don't know. Oh, it says when crank is docked and undocked. I had it undocked and was trying to use the D-pad. That's where I was going wrong.
I've learned a lot of games use the crank uh, position docked or undocked to enable or disable certain controls now, it seems. And
Why?
well, I wonder how many people actually do that thing that you and I apparently do, which is to undock the crank and just leave it at the ready in case
Hmm.
there's a cranking needed. But
No one.
apparently, yeah, either the devs don't come across that in testing, or we're weird.
Or weird. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, so that's River Run, and it is available on itch, $2. Next up,
So, before we leave here, I just wanted to highlight a couple of the features. One is you get 3 defensive power-ups, and there are also 3 offensive power-ups. So I'm going to apologize on behalf of the developer that there are those offensive power-ups for anyone who might play this game.
Defensive power-ups. Oh. Ha ha ha. Nice, Ryan.
I try.
Yes.
okay, so have you all heard of this house bow?
I have
It
not. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Nick, please tell us
it
more.
it's
Let us know.
developed
What's your name?
it's developed by Peter, also known as Fenchel, and it's like this cityscape puzzle game where you're building out a city um, using these different tiles. It's I don't know, Don, how it's like you're building portions of a building, just the visible portions when looking
Yeah.
from an isometric perspective. So a building adjoining another building doesn't exist all the way down to the ground level. if I'm
No,
describing that accurately.
I think it's more just you're just chilling, making some art, making like a cool little city art wise. So it doesn't really matter what you can't see once the finished piece is made.
Very good.
But it does
Um,
say puzzle game. So you think there would be an objective to completing the puzzle, right?
Yeah,
Concept is simple. Build modernist cityscapes by placing random tiles while listening to jazzy tunes. Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. Is it a game though either?
I mean, I guess it would depend on whether
Tiny
or not there
little
was an objective to the puzzle
interactive
beyond,
thing for the
yeah,
Playdate. It just
yeah.
doesn't quite have the same punch.
Interesting, nevertheless. I gotta say, I'm always a sucker for isometric illustrations, and this definitely has it in spades. So,
it's got some great character,
yeah.
but I think this is also something that one of my daughters would really enjoy. So looking forward to sharing that with her.
Wait do you see the price?
I was gonna ask. Hasn't
Well,
been mentioned yet.
it's funny that you say that, Don, because this game is free. It's
How
free on
about
Goodness.
that?
itch.io.
Art
Yeah.
is
Oh,
free. I love it.
So
I mean, I
time.
love paying for art as well, Ryan. Don't get all upset, but I do love when art is free.
I don't. But I do like the fact that there are philanthropic developers out there willing to share what they've done. This looks really incredible, and I just downloaded it so that I can sideload it when I get a new Playdate.
and that is Housebow, named after Bauhaus. And it is free on itch.io by Finchel.
The
Okay.
band?
Yeah, by that Finchel. Um,
No,
no,
what is it?
Bauhaus.
That intro. Okay, Nick, what is this next one? This one I feel like you'll have some backstory on.
Okay. So, uh, Don, there are things called slot machines, and
I
those
didn't mean that
machines.
kind of backstory.
Okay. All right. Have you played Space Quest?
Yes.
All right. Um, this is something done in the style of the one-armed space bandit from Space Quest 1.
Hmm.
Um, and it is a cool looking, fun little slot machine game.
So is this like 1-to-1 or is it just in the style of? Because see how it's like you
Uh,
lose homeboy and it kills you. Is that something that would have happened in Space Quest?
oh, that definitely would, yes.
Okay.
Um, I don't remember. It's been too long since I played Space Quest 1, so I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know um, if this is a one-to-one or if it's a in the style of.
Okay. Fair enough. It looks fun, whatever it is.
Yeah. Um, so this is free as well on itch.io, and it's by Edenwaith.
Very good.
All right. So this is the last game for, is it? Hold on.
Yes. Oh, no,
It
there's one
is.
more. There's one
Nope.
more.
There's one more. This is the penultimate game in the inventory, and it's called Draw In for Playdate. And you use the crank to draw, and the cursor draws dots behind it, and it's a drawing app. So the arrow buttons move the cursor, hold A and crank to draw, hold B and crank to increase or decrease the brush size. So this looks like a fun Etch-a-Sketch type toy.
Hmm.
Um,
Except it
and
does appear to allow you to pick up your pen, so you don't have to use continuous lines, but yes, indeed, a drawing app for the Playdate. Looks fun.
I think, yeah, the
um,
dots are there just to represent where your pen is.
You know, that's what I thought at first too, but Nick was literally reading the itch page that says the cursor draws dots behind it. So
Right.
there's a setting where it's
shoots
dotted
out fewer
instead of
particles.
solid line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
uh like a freehand
not sure.
drawing app for Playdate. Pretty
Yeah.
simple and pretty
So
cool.
Ryan, are you going
And
to be switching all of your professional art output to drawing?
Oh, you
Once
haven't
you,
seen that I made that statement already? I've cast aside all my 20 years of materials, and I'm now exclusively drawing on the Playdate. Oh wait, no, I don't have one. Never mind. No, I better keep my pencils in that case. So,
okay, I think
but
that's fair.
anybody can grab this because it's free. Download it for free. Try it out. See what you think. Try those solid lines. Try those dotted lines. It's all available on Drawin' by, did we say this already?
Tao
Tao
Ninja.
Ninja? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Not
Fantastic.
Thanks,
Darwin,
Ryan.
by the way. I called it Darwin like 4 times today.
Little,
Um,
little dyslexia. That's okay. It
I'm
happens to all of us.
I'm excited to check this out because, as you know, I am not great at art things normally, but I do enjoy uh, a relaxing drawing application or something like an etch a sketch. So I think this will be my art outlet.
Very good.
All
Well,
right.
Nick, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did I cut you off?
No, go for it.
I was gonna say, well, I know that art is not necessarily your preferred cup of tea, how shall we say? But speaking of being inhibited about creative outlets, I am very inhibited about whatever comes up next in this game. Nick, do you want to tell us with a straight face what this game is all about?
This game is called Pocket BM, and it is a uh, tracker, right? A uh,
Cracker?
synthesizer, yeah,
There we
A
go.
beat,
um,
a
Beat
beat
maker.
maker, a beat maker.
which happens in a tracker or a sequencer. Anyway,
Those words
um,
haven't been used in 40 years, though.
they're the only words I
The
know.
hell's the
Um,
tracker?
Isn't that somebody
It's
who
like a
finds another person for you or finds,
soldier of fortune,
right? A
all
tracker.
right, you all. Um, regardless, this sequencer,
lone wolf
uh,
survivalist.
uh, it looks like a really handy one. It's got very clear graphical uh, delineation between the different instruments or channels and the different notes. Very readable. What do you all think?
I don't
I
think
don't
we
know
were
if I'm
clear.
gonna.
I don't think we
Oh,
were clear
what
enough. This is the music sampling program, not
Music
the
creation, yeah.
I
yeah.
don't know if you're gonna find any foxes with this one, but hopefully you'll make a jaunty tune, because it's looking pretty clear, as Nicholas P. Baldridge told you. Um, I feel like making music is black magic. So if anyone comes up with something on this, please impress me and let us all know. But you can purchase this particular app for $6 whole. Looks like it's worth every penny. Looks like there's a ton of work in this. So
Yes.
Junex, Junx, Junx. Great job on this one. Looking pretty snazzy.
I put a lot of hours into MTV Music Generator on the
Hmm.
PS1,
Oh,
and
really?
this looks similar.
Huh.
Do you still have the memory cards, Don?
I do have the memory cards. I'm sure they are just terrible.
Time to start ripping them. We've got some new
Mm-mm.
Playdate podcast, Hello Playdate podcast intro music coming our way, I think.
Hell no.
All right,
Anyway,
well, would you like to hear about what's currently on sale?
I would.
I would. Yeah, go
Well,
for it.
there is a sale on Labyrinth by Sam Charchian, and it is currently 43% off at $4, normally $7 in catalog.
Yeah, speaking of
So
which, no catalog games today. What's up with that?
I was wondering.
No
Yep. I
catalog
don't know.
games, only one game on sale, kind of a light catalog week.
They left
But
the oh, sorry.
yeah.
They left the games all shuffled up after the sale too. So maybe
Hmm.
there were new games and they're just shuffled up in there somewhere.
They might be working on
I
something.
I did not see any announcements when I was looking for the boop news and notes today, so
Hmm.
I'm guessing not.
Yeah,
Usually
maybe
they
not.
post that stuff around.
That's true. Oh well, that's fine. Everybody needs a week off.
Yeah,
Yep.
take some personal time. Panic catalog.
I will say Root Bear has been removed from the updates page, recently updated page.
Okay. I guess its update is not so recent anymore. That makes sense.
Maybe
All
we'll
right.
get added back sometime. Anyway,
Well, now that we've fulfilled our awkward pause quota for the episode, let's move on to the boop, boop, pick of the week. This time it's coming from moi, which is ironic because my Playdate is not working. But before it stopped functioning, I played this game and thought it was awfully fun, which is why I picked it. This game I refer to is called Gecko Snacks. Gecko Snacks is developed by a dev named McDevin. And McDevin has made this wonderful little crank-based game. Essentially, you are a gecko and you're cruising around the screen. It's a really wonderful gecko sprite that has, sort of wiggly waggly movement as geckos tend to do. And the movement forward is crank based. You're not just whipping the crank around to move forward. You kind of have to move it back and forth to squiggle one way to the left, squiggle one way to the right, and back and forth to move forward. Or you could potentially move in circles if you wanted to. But as you traverse this environment, you're basically in like looking at it from an overhead view. As you traverse this environment as the gecko, you're encountering different food. So you might see a grasshopper or a fly or there's a third one that I'm blanking on right now. Somebody help me, please.
cricket, grasshopper, and fly are the three.
Okay, cricket. That must be it. So as you maneuver your way toward these food items, um, you can overtake them and eat them and get points for that. But if you approach them and you are not very sneaky, then they will run away or fly away, and you will not get that food and you will not get those points. So the mechanics for this were really interesting. As I said, you're moving forward with crank, but as you approach the critters that you're trying to eat, if you get too close, once you start approaching them, you have to really slow down. And that's kind of unintuitive because this whole game is timed. So in the back of your mind, you're like, all right, I gotta move quick. But once you see something, there's this really delicate balance of, okay, there it is, slow down, kind of pace yourself, and then waggle, 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 and go real super, super fast to overtake it and eat it and get those points. So it took me a little bit to get a handle on the game mechanics and the strategy for moving forward. But once I did, it just all kind of clicked and turned into this wonderful, delightful little score chaser for me. And I wanted to share that with our community here. So, with that said, what did you guys think about it? Maybe we can start with Nick. Nick, what did you think about ye old Gecko Snacks as a Playdate score chaser?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movement aspect of the gecko. I thought that that was very intuitive, and it was really fun, and something I wanted to keep doing. So that was a cool baseline mechanic that everything kind of fits on top of. But the sort of endlessly scrolling open world in which the gecko persists or exists is really surprisingly compelling to traverse through because you're making all these little micro decisions as you play, and they add up to this really wonderful macro of the point system in this, which was really obscure at first, and then it became more and more clear what exactly was happening. Things like the timed basis of the game is communicated through the amount of focus that you have, and small actions and movements, all these things kind of take away from your focus, and eventually the game will end in that the world will stop scrolling and you have to walk off the the edge of the screen. Or I guess you don't have to. Maybe it's timed at that point. I don't really know. I always walked off the edge of the screen. Um, but I found the uh, game to be very compelling. I did not really break much further past about 100 points, though, at my best. I had a real hard time topping that, and a lot of that was due to the pressure that I placed upon myself to catch things in a very rapid and efficient manner. So I was always kind of working against myself as I played. But that's one of the cool things about this game is just how much your decisions impact your play. Um, so
Yeah, totally. And you mentioned topping out around 100. Don, what were you topping out at, and what were your thoughts about this game?
I was also topping out around 100. I'm not sure how people were getting around 500. Something that didn't occur to me until just now, kind of sitting and listening and watching the GIFs, is if you just sit there, will bugs come to you?
I never experienced that. I'm
Okay,
not
I
sure if
don't
that never happens, but
I
I
don't think
never
it
saw it
would,
if
but
it did.
because it seems like they're never just, I don't think I ever saw them walking besides me prompting them to walk on their own. I mean, excuse me, walk away from me
Uh-huh.
as a gecko. I never happened to just come across them walking around.
You mean the bugs walking toward you,
No,
or
just
you walking
like if
toward the
I'm
bugs?
walking around and then I
Uh-huh.
saw one, I never noticed them moving without me getting closer to them and then them moving away. You know what I mean? Like if I entered the screen and then they were just moving around, I don't think I ever saw that happening,
Hmm.
right?
I'm trying to think because it's been a couple weeks for me again, and I seem to recall that when I would find one on the screen, I would kind of slow down,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, they just kind of stay in one place unless they get
They
spooked.
get spooked. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they start
Uh,
moving around. It would be interesting if they kind of moved around and then came into view, and
mm,
then you could kind of sneak up and grab them.
yeah,
I
yeah,
did like I mean, the star of the show is the gecko. His
for
eyes
sure.
move crazy. He breathes. Um, and then of course you can move as slowly as you want. And that's something Nick touched on a little bit is that you kind of have to train yourself to be patient. There isn't a timer. There's a self-imposed timer. If you just sit there, I don't think your focus goes down at all until you start moving.
Hmm.
It just stays there. And then as you take steps, then your focus goes down. And then eating is what raises your focus. And then, of course, the more you eat, the higher your score goes.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's whenever you move, then your time or your focus is going down. And when it gets to zero, it's game over. Um,
And Nick, you mentioned something that I was a little confused on. You said something about hitting the edge of the screen or going off the screen ended your time. I kind of had the
no,
same.
once your time expires, the world stops scrolling,
Oh,
and
then
then
you can hit the edge.
you can hit the edge and proceed past.
Something that happened to me a few times is you can hear the crunch of eating a bug.
hmm.
Well, every time you eat a bug, you hear a crunch. But I would eat a bug after outside of the screen. Like I ran
Hmm.
out of focus, but it gives you like an extra second or two to keep moving. And so I would eat a bug outside of the screen. And I was like, oh man, I wish I would give me the extra 15 focus or whatever. And then just zip, zooming back into the center frame and
I
let me
feel like
keep
that
going.
happened to me a couple times, and if I'm not mistaken, again, this is 2 week old memory, but if I'm not mistaken, even if you get it just past the time limit, then it does not add it to your score. Is that
Right.
right?
It does
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might add it to your score. I don't know. But it
I
does not
didn't
add
think
it
it
to your
did.
focus.
Yeah. Well,
Focus
yeah.
is all I was really concerned about because I wanted to keep going.
Mm. Well, kudos on your 100 points, guys. I ended up making it to 272 at my top.
Nice.
I was
Nice
only
job.
I was only able to play this for a day or two, but that is not a humble brag because we have one of the top scorers of Gecko Snacks in our Discord. Dino was really going to town on Gecko Snacks and got over 600 points. There was a top score of 500 in the stock leaderboard that comes with the game. And Dino was really trying something fierce to get there, having a rough go with it and getting super close. Ultimately demolished that top score. I just wanted to give some shouts out to Dino for chiming into the Pick of the Week Discord and letting us know how he was doing. I wish I could have been there with you and battling back and forth as I like to do. But again, Playdate was out of commission, so maybe my next pick of the week, I'll find another fun little score chaser for us. And anyone else who fancies such a thing, please jump in on this conversation. We love chatting about this stuff. So come see our Discord, come join the fun.
I thought that 500 was like a joke, you know?
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
there's no way it's
Yeah,
an impossible score. So when he was getting close, I was like, how is he doing this? And then he beat it. I was like, that's impossible.
Yeah. That was nuts. Speaking of Dino, he had some feedback too. He said, I feel like there's an exploration and puzzle solving game to be made featuring this gecko. The design and animation is fantastic. It would be great to have a more interactive and detailed world for the gecko to explore. The controls are brilliant. It's great to use the crank. It's a great use of the crank and very intuitive. The author said the game was born out of a technical demo. I imagine part of that demo was focused on the input and movement. It is slick, responsive, and rewarding. I wonder if there's a twist on the snake. I wonder if there is a twist on Snake that would be possible with this type of crank control and
Mm.
character movement. Swap in a snake and have it grow in length, and you slither around. That could be fun. Uh, I feel like there was a crank-based snake that came early on. Didn't we discuss this at some point?
Yeah, there's a few.
Early in the life cycle of the Playdate?
Nothing that looks this realistic, but there's a
True.
few snake-based ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was more line based than graphics based, but I do remember the crank based snake really breaking my brain, and I'm used to like cardinal directions with snaking, and that just didn't compute in my tiny brain. So yeah, I think there might be a version of what you're suggesting,
There's
but
there's a
uh,
good one that just came out. I'm looking now. It's something IO. Oh, Go Noodle. Go Noodle is what I'm thinking of.
hmm,
Yeah, that's a good one. But it's got power-ups and stuff. I think the purity of this one of just eating stuff without power-ups and whatnot is appealing. You know
for
what I mean?
sure. It makes
Yeah.
it a compelling score chaser,
Hmm.
um, rather than relying really heavily on fantastical elements.
Hmm.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
I sure thought so since I picked it, but it's nice to hear that you guys felt similarly. Uh, yeah, my only regret is not having more time with it because I
sure.
picked this based on Don, your indie inventory, and I love that you highlight all these games for us every week. And typically, when I'm picking my pick of the week, I'll comb the past episode or two to see what you've been mentioning, and this really stood out for me. In fact, it beat out some real A-list looking games, and I was real close on a couple games, and I thought, oh, this one's this A-lister I mentioned is really impeccably done, but I just kept coming back to Gecko Snacks, and when I can't get a game's teeth out of my skin, I'm like, all right, that's got to be it. I want to talk about this one. So, uh, thank you both for playing Gecko Snacks with me and chatting about it on the podcast here. I had a ton of fun with this one and thank you for having some fun with me.
Did you notice that the dev was in the Discord, McDevin?
Yes, chimed in there close to our recording date here. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, thank you for joining and put a couple of spoiler tags in there so people wouldn't get different features of how the gameplay worked spoiled. So I appreciate that. We didn't have a whole lot of time to interact with them. But yeah, it's always appreciated when they come in and give us some kind of background secrets and information. So we really appreciate McDevitt hopping in and adding to the conversation. So thank you for that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And McDevitt, my apologies for not getting in there a little more actively. As I mentioned, my Playdate was broken and I was also coming down the home stretch of a big old book tour. So kind of licking my wounds for a little bit this past week, but everything is good. And if you by chance are looking for a book, you can find that at onebiteatatimebook.com. But wait, we're getting to that prematurely. Anything else you guys want to mention regarding this week's pick of the week? Going once, twice, three times a lady, then how about we
Nope.
talk about next episode's pick of the week?
Yeah. For next episode, I'm proposing that we talk about speed, which
Oh,
is
goodness. Do we need to have an intervention, Nick?
speed with three E's. It is free on itch.io and it's developed by Tom Scotch. Yeah, Tom Scotch. Um, so check it out.
All right, looks fun. I'm assuming this means that we'll be driving trucks late at night for many hours. Um, okay, with that said, thank you everybody for listening and tuning in once again. We love having you here. We love having you part of the community. And speaking of here in the community, you can find our podcast at playdatepodcast.com. You can also email us at helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. There are some additional things such as a phone number that you can call and leave a message, and maybe we'll edit you into our show. That has happened before. So if you'd like to do that, you can call the Bingo's tip line. That's 724 Bingo's 1. That's 724 246 4671. We also have an Instagram handle that's Hello Playdate. Um, I'm tired of mentioning all the other things that we don't really tend to. So, um, great talking to you this week, guys. I'm so happy that we're all back in one place again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
welcome back, and hopefully we can all join together on the next episode with working play dates and have fun with this next game.
All right.
And Ryan, it was great to see you in person.
Indeed, that was such a treat to have you here, Nick. Speaking of having you here, you also brought your pinball game, Drained Pinball, which can I talk about for a little bit? Because I'm it makes me super excited.
Yes,
I
Ryan,
would,
and
Will
I'm
will
giving you
you allow it?
permission.
Will okay. We're we're
Two
we're
minutes, I'm
queuing
starting the timer.
cueing the fade out music. But with that said, I got to give some props to Nick and his family because this was a family affair. So Nick did a lot of heavy lifting, but there was also a ton of art heavy lifting by Nick's wife, Molly Baldridge. And I had not been able to play this game that came out in 2022 until a week ago in 2024. And Drained Pinball is, I'm a little bit at a loss for words to try to conjure up adequate adjectives for how fun and addictive this was. So you're defeating vampires, and this game has a gobble hole, which for those uninitiated at pinball means there's a hole in the playfield, and if your ball goes in there, it's gone. Ball over. Next ball comes up, and there's no ball save in that regard. And so why would you want to put your ball in that hole? Well, it is to slay the vampire. So if you're going to slay that vampire, it goes in that gobble hole. But there's this ultimate element of risk and reward built in there where you're qualifying the vampire and then you want to kill it, but you can also ramp up that score by achieving some extra shots before you kill that vampire. But if you're getting those other shots, you've got a risk of draining the pinball down the center drain and not getting any of those points for killing the vampire. And so it was just this like ultimate feeling of anticipation every single shot I took when I was playing the game. Um, the game was in my garage for about I don't know, 3 nights, 4 days. Not that I'm counting, but every chance I got, I was out there right before bed. As soon as I woke up in the morning, any chance I got throughout the day, I was trying to best my last score, and it was really hard to tear myself away from it. So I just wanted to take a minute to give Nick some ultimate props for a game designed, programmed, manufactured question mark just to such an impeccable degree. And what a fun game. Nick, if I owned a P3, this would be the first module I'd get. Fantastic job.
Thanks so much, Ryan. I was very excited to be able to share that with you, and I'm so glad that you enjoyed it.
Oh man,
Um,
did I ever.
s-
I was so excited too. So excited to see you first and foremost. And the fact that you hauled a whole gosh darn pinball machine across, several states, that that was bonkers and so appreciated. And I I loved every minute of it. So yes, thank you.
happy to do it, and thanks so much for playing the game.
My pleasure.
So Don,
If
you're
you,
next.
oh,
I
wait a
know, I
minute,
know,
wait a
very cool.
minute.
I want to be able
We
to play
gotta we
this
gotta
thing.
end this properly by telling everybody if you are interested in Drain Pinball, you can go to drainpinball.com. That's drainedpinball.com.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hop on,
All
buy
right,
one, stick it under the tree right now this
there
year.
you go.
Clock's
Make it
ticking.
happen.
Cool.
Some
Jonathan.
people say practical gifts, and I say this is the most practical gift. It'll teach you how to slay vampires.
Indeed. Which is a good trait to have probably coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming up in this future post-apocalyptic world we might be moving into. But this is a place of escapism. Don, do you want to take us out in a jaunty way?
I don't have a jaunty jauntness left in me, but we covered everything. Thank you so much. We will see you in 2 weeks. Good night.
Huzzah!
Bye, everybody.